As always, with a question that comes in advance, apni परिवार जो है जो अपने साथ यहाँ उपस्थित नहीं हो सकते, those who are not actually here with us physically, so out of love and deference to them, we start with their question first, and then anyone here who has any question will take that. What is one thing that you feel is unforgivable? Something that is unforgivable. You know, I don't actually think anything is unforgivable. But we have to have the right definition of forgive. First of all, when we think about horrible evil, right? If you say something is unforgivable, it means that person must be evil. Well, but in Sanatan Dharma, in our tradition, we don't talk about evilness, we talk about ignorance. Nobody is rotten to the core. At the core, everyone is divine. Each of us is just wrapped up in different aspects of ignorance that leads us to live in different ways. And so for some of us, the ignorance may simply be that we cheat on a test, or we, pretend someone else's work is our work, or we could help somebody more than we help them, or we gossip negatively. For some of us, it may just be that. For others, that ignorance becomes more and more. Becomes violence, becomes crime, on a personal level, on a corporate level, on a government level. Then even beyond that, you've got those that seem to be just acting out of absolute and complete what we would call ignorance, what others may see as evil. But here's what's critical. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to ruin not only this life, but I'm going to ruin my next 10 lives today. मैं एक ऐसा कर्म करूँगा आज या करूँगी आज जो 10 जन्म तक I will not be free of the karmic fruits. No one thinks like that. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to ruin someone else's life. I'm going to bring pain and suffering and harm to others. Everyone who does what they do it because on some level, they think it's the right thing to do. Now their vision is warped. We know that. We can look at it and say they're crazy. Forget ignorant, we can say they're crazy. But in their minds, they have a reason. I actually, as a psychology student, was always really fascinated by what would a mass murderer say when you ask him why they do things. What would a terrorist say if you ask them? Because we look at them and we say, they're evil. Crazy, evil, crazy. Those are kind of the only 2 words we use. But nobody's going to say, oh, I do what I do because I'm crazy. Or I do what I do because I'm evil. They're all going to give you some reason. Now that reason is wrapped up in ignorance, of course. But what it means is that core sense of, as far as my limited capacity goes, मैं जो कर रहा हूँ मैं ठीक कर रहा हूँ. When we talk about forgiveness, though, the question becomes forgivable by whom? As a society, well, this is why we have laws. It's why we have courts. It's why we have police. As societies, we've decided these things must be punished. You steal, you lie, you harm, you cheat. We punish these people. So when we talk about forgivable, when I say everything is forgivable, I don't mean here's your get out of jail free card. I don't mean our courts should just let them go. I don't mean we should absolve the police department. What I mean is that in our hearts, when we are holding a grudge against someone, when someone has done something to us that we think is unforgivable, well, then we've just gone in jail with them. They're already in some kind of jail, either a legal jail or a karmic jail. One or the other, maybe both. But if I hold on to that anger, I'm now in jail with them. I'm stuck. I'm held in bondage by what they did. And so the question really is there anything that someone else could do, jiski vajah se, due to which I cannot be free? And the answer is no. Whatever someone has done to you, you still deserve to be free. And you can be free. But in order to be free, you have to be prepared to forgive. अगर अपने मन में है कि जो उसने किया मुझको unforgivable है, इसका मतलब है कि मेरा मन अब जेल में चला गया उसके साथ. Unforgivable मतलब मैं कभी इसको छोड़ूंगी नहीं. मैं कभी इसको भूलूंगी नहीं. I'll never forgive it. I'll never let go. Which means I am in jail. गलती उसने किया. Jail में हूँ. So we have to always ask ourselves, is what someone else did worthy of my freedom? No. I mean, if I ask you the same question, imagine, what is it that someone could do in response to which you would say, okay, you've done something really nasty. Now I want you to take my entire lifetime of happiness also. You've already lied to me, you've already cheated me, you've already hurt me. अब मेरा पूरा जीवन का खुशी आप ले लो. अब पूरा जीवन का शांति आप ले लो. Can you imagine? They've already hurt you. Maybe they've taken your money. Maybe they've taken your job. Maybe they've stolen something else. Maybe they've hurt your trust, your feelings. Maybe they've physically abused your body. But whatever they did, can you even imagine saying, okay, whatever you've done it. Now, take my freedom, take my happiness, take my life. Of course not. But if we refuse to forgive, that's exactly what we've done. So ultimately, we have to agree that everything is forgivable, or we are stuck. But again, remember, we are not the karmic police. So forgivable doesn't mean, oh God, absolve them of their crimes. They should not have to face the karmic fruits. It doesn't mean, oh judge, please let them out of jail. But it simply means whatever they've done, I am prepared. I am prepared to let go. Because I deserve freedom. I deserve joy. I deserve peace, and I deserve freedom. So since forgiving is up to us, and the last thing I want is my life ruined because of something someone else has done, some mistake someone else has done, we have to forgive. So yeah, everything is forgivable. But thankfully there's this law of the justice system, law of karma, that takes care of teaching people the lessons they need. We don't have to hold on to it. Our role is not to teach people the lessons they need. Our role is to keep our hearts clean. So we forgive. Does anyone here have a question? Yes.
Yesterday it was a question of my mom. She said how to develop faith.
He's giving you the microphone.
Yeah. Yesterday my mom's question was that how to develop faith.
Yes.
Shraddha.
Yes.
And it will be better if you reply in Hindi because my mom doesn't understand English.
Sure. थोड़ा सा हिंदी में करूँगी and a little in English as well, because we have people who don't speak Hindi and those who don't speak English. So the question is, how do we increase our faith, increase our shraddha? Well, first we have to ask ourselves, कि where does our faith go? कहाँ चले जाते अपनी श्रद्धा? क्यों कम होते जाते हैं? क्यों कमजोर होती अपनी श्रद्धा? It becomes less. It gets less because we have expectations from God that aren't fulfilled. This is how people lose faith. I can't tell you how many people all over the world have said, since my mother died, father died, child died, I've given up on God. When we went and we were doing a lot of work in the tsunami areas in South India, after the tragic tsunami happened, people closed their temples. People stopped going to mandir because God had forsaken them. They told Pujya Swamiji, they were like, we don't believe in God anymore, we only believe in you. God took everything away. You've come, you're giving us everything back. So we only believe in you, we don't believe in God anymore. So our faith tends to get less and less when जो हम चाहते हैं भगवान से वो नहीं होते. अपनी पूजा, अपनी श्रद्धा, अपनी सारे जो हम करते हैं, जप करते हैं, we do it usually with some end goal in mind. कुछ लोगों का the end goal is just my own awakening, right? My own enlightenment. But for most people, the goal is, I go to mandir on Mondays or on Tuesdays or Wednesdays because this is what I want from God. And when God doesn't do it, we get angry. अरे मैं तो सालों से आपका अभिषेक कर रही हूँ, कम से कम ये तो कर दो मेरे लिए, कितना मुश्किल काम है. Right? We get mad. Like somehow we are owed something from God because we've been doing puja, we've been doing abhishek, we've been chanting our mantra, so now God owes us. And when we don't get what we think we should be getting, that shraddha becomes less. And maybe we're not thinking about it quite like that. It's not that everybody goes to mandir thinking, please don't let me get fired from my job. Maybe it's not even in our mind. But we go to mandir, we do our things, then we get fired for no reason. Maybe someone else told a lie about us. Maybe someone else stole our work. But we get fired. फिर भी हमारी श्रद्धा कमजोर होता है. Because we think, my God, कमाल है, मैं तो आपका पक्का भक्त हूँ, रोज मंदिर जाती हूँ, रोज पूजा करती हूँ, रोज सेवा करती हूँ. I've never been anything but honest. How did this happen? Forget it. छोड़ो फिर. फायदा क्या हुआ? What's been the benefit? And then we lose that faith. Sometimes we lose faith in God. Sometimes we just lose faith in our guru or in a mantra. We think, I need a new guru. Jo main chara tha nahi hua, chalo, I've got the wrong guru. Or I'm chanting the wrong mantra. Going to the wrong mandir. Sometimes people even think I've got the wrong religion. Without realizing God's job is not to fill up our shopping carts. God's not the checkout clerk. I want this, 2 of these, 3 of these, 5 of those. Paper, please. No plastic, give me a paper bag, please. Right? Yeah, I've brought my own bag, I'm eco-friendly. That's not God's role. But we think it is. पूज्य स्वामी जी हमेशा कहते हैं कि हम इष्ट के पास लिस्ट लेके जाते हैं. ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, ये चाहिए. And so when it doesn't happen what we want, we lose our faith. But this is where it's so important to remember that God never said to us, do your puja, do your japa, and whatever you want I will give you. You'll get every raise, every promotion, every job, every husband, wife you want. Your children will get into the colleges they want to go to. They'll never date the wrong person, wrong in your mind. Everything will be exactly perfect. You just come every Monday and do my abhishek. God never said that. Pour this much ghee over the course of a year into my fire and I will do whatever you want. This many kgs of ghee, this many kgs of rice. God never said that. It's not a bargaining. God is giving us the gift of knowing God. That's actually the end goal. The gift God gives us is the gift of knowing God. And when we have faith, we have the opportunity to know God, to experience God in ourselves. That's what it's all about. But then, of course, also even for deep, deep spiritual seekers, we lose faith when sometimes we feel like God's gone away from us. Used to be very easy to access God, to feel God. Now not so easy. But when we really examine ourselves, we realize we've gone away. God has not gone anywhere. हम पीछे हट गए. शायद preoccupied हो गया, मन busy हो गया. शायद जो हम चाह रहे थे नहीं हुआ. But for some reason, we end up going farther from God. So if you've noticed that your shraddha, your faith is getting less, ask yourself, am I going to God wanting just to know God in me? Or am I going to God with a list, like He's Santa? Right? Like if I just put out a plate of milk and cookies, Santa's going to leave everything that I want under my tree. The point of shraddha is it brings us closer to God. So ask yourself, if I could have even all these things I want, but not have the presence of God in my life, to faida kya hua? There's no point. It's that presence of the divine in our lives that's everything. I mean, we all know people, I'm sure, I know a lot of people, I'm sure we all know some people who are super rich, who have everything, but who are miserable. Or they're alcoholics, or they're drug addicts, or they're on their 5th marriage, or whatever it may be, maybe not 5th, but 3rd. They're unable to enjoy what they have. Because inside, they're not set. Doesn't matter what they have outside. It's like Pujya Swamiji always says, everything is set, but they are upset. Sab kuch set hai, kud upset hai. They are like that. So many people. So we know that fulfilling our list is not the answer, because we look at people who have their lists fulfilled. The money is there, the jobs are there, the house is there, the cars are there. But inside, they're not happy. And so, जब हम भगवान के पास जा रहे लिस्ट लेके, तो हमें सोचना चाहिए कि what do I really want? And what's really interesting is if you look at all the expectations you have, all the items on our, please give me God list, they're all things that we think will bring us happiness. I think that through having this job or this amount of money or this relationship or this opportunity or that car or this house that I'll be happy. If you look at every single thing you want in life, ultimately the end result of all of that is, फिर मैं खुश हो जाऊंगी. Then I will be happy. But God offers us another opportunity. कि पड़ोसी चक्कर में मत पड़ो. Be happy now. You don't need the things to be happy. Connect with me right now. And you will have that happiness. And you don't have to go through your entire lifetime of killing yourself to get all of the things that you think will bring you happiness. When right here, right now, in this moment, if you just connect with God, in this breath, there's happiness. And there's a happiness that's so much more than that which comes from anything outside. So as long as our shraddha can be simply, oh God, let me know you. Let me experience you. तो मजबूत हो जाएगा. Then it'll be strong. But as long as my faith is tied into the items on my list, slowly, slowly it'll get less and less. My shraddha. As long as I've got these expectations that I think should be fulfilled, I'll lose my faith as they're not fulfilled. But remember, that's not God's job. God never promised it. Not His job. So we go to God for what we get from God, which is everything. And then apne aap that shraddha will become more and more and more with love, with bhakti. And then that becomes all we want. Are there any other questions that Anyone here has? Yes. रुक जाओ, रुक जाओ, कोई बात नहीं, बात करेंगे हम लोग सत्संग के बाद.
जी अच्छा. हमें यहाँ के नियम नहीं पता है.
कोई बात नहीं, बात करेंगे सत्संग के बाद.
जी अच्छा.
नमन. हमको तो आपको देख के ही श्रद्धा का जैसे क्वेश्चन किया तो वही श्रद्धा हमारे अंदर भी उत्पन्न हुई और जैसे श्रद्धा की साक्षी भाव ही जैसे समस्त देवी खड़ी होके हमको यही अनुभव हुआ कि हमारे सामने में एक देवी माई जवाब दे रहे हैं. आपको कोटि कोटि नमन.
Are there any questions that
Yes. Just this morning I came to know about that Swamiji, having that remain silent every morning.
Yes.
So I have heard actually many times that many Rishi Munis does that. So I just want to, know the significance of that and if there
Beautiful.
are any benefits or how can we apply in our life that thing.
Silence is so powerful. Very powerful. There's a reason that in our spiritual practice, silence is always a part, whether it's a certain number of hours each day, whether it's a certain number of days, whatever it may be. Pujya Swamiji's observed 17 months of silence at one point in his life. He was observing many, many, many months on end of silence. You have to realize that silence is not empty. The reason that we don't understand why silence is we think silence to kuch bhi nahi hai, it's nothing. It's just empty space. But it's not. When we are being consciously silent, it's not the absence of words. It's a fullness of presence. There's a fullness in silence. It's like, chalo, we'll do a little demonstration, okay? आप जो बीच में हैं, आप अपने हाथ उठा लीजिएगा. आप, yes, you, wonderful. So all of those of you on her, well, it'll be her right side, my left side. All of you raise your hands. Great. You are all group 1. Okay? You are all group 2. Okay? So if you're group 2, raise your hand. Great. Group 1, raise your hand. आप तो group 2 है माता जी. हाँ, बस. Group 1, your job is to chant Om. Okay? So whenever I put my hand up like this, you are going to chant Om. Let's try it. Beautiful. When my hand comes down, you can stop. Beautiful. Group 2, your job, and I know you're not going to believe me, so you have to believe me. Your job is to make as much noise as you possibly can. I know this is satsang. I know hum sab shanti se bet rahe. Fir bhi, I'm actually serious. I don't mean noise like, I mean real noise, okay? Clap your hands, stomp your feet, whatever you've got to do. This group, your job is to make as much noise as you possibly can. Go. Good, okay. Okay? Everybody knows their jobs, right? Now, if my hand is raised on your side, it means you do your thing. Noise here, Om here. If I lower my hand on your side, it means your side stops. Okay? इसका मतलब है कि आप करो, इसका मतलब आप बंद कर दो. ठीक है? तो सब साथ ही साथ शुरू करेंगे. No, sorry. Great. Now, this side, the Om chanters. शुरू में, when we all started, did you start with everybody or did you only start when they stopped? शुरू से आप लोगों ने किया या केवल जब वो लोग शांत हो गया तब आपने शुरू किया? शुरू से, from the beginning. Really? Could anybody hear them? थोड़ा सा भी सुनाई दिया? Why? Because this side was making so much noise. Now, I did this experiment to show you why we observe silence. When this becomes quiet, we are able to hear this. Now in my experiment, आप लोग भी शांत हो गया. But in our lives, that Om is always on. Maybe not necessarily in the exact word or sound like that. But if you go deep enough, you will actually hear it in that sound, because it's the sound of the universe. But most of the time we can't hear it, because all this ruckus is going on in our own minds. This is what our minds actually sound like. It's chaos. And then we are yearning for peace, wanting peace. And so we think, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to learn this, learn that. The problem is, जब तक यही शांत नहीं होते, आप कुछ भी चैंट करते रहो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, सुनाई नहीं देगा. You can't hear anything. So the goal is not about how much Om can I find and somehow create. It's about how can I make this noise be quiet so I can actually experience the Om. Means the truth, the divine presence of me. So that's why we observe silence. Now, the dilemma, as you may have noticed, is observing silence only makes our mouths silent. It tends to make people around us quiet. If you're in silence, people aren't going to talk too much to you. But the mind is still on. But slowly, 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 when we quiet the mouth, the mind actually starts to become quiet as well. A huge part of what goes on in the mind is we are kind of rehearsing things that we're going to say to other people. We have conversations in our mind before they happen. We repeat conversations like we're going to do them better the next time. We worry about conversations that are going to happen. When we know we are in silence, that we're not going to speak anything, that no conversation is going to happen, the mind becomes quiet. So many times during the day, something happens and we think about picking up the phone and telling someone. Or even just commenting to the person next to us, my God, did you see that? देखा आपने क्या किया उसने? But if you know I'm not going to actually speak that, then the mind becomes quiet. The mind doesn't even say it to you. So simply by quieting the mouth and the environment, the mind actually becomes quiet also. And it gives us that beautiful opportunity to really experience that presence of Om. That presence of the real, let's just call it the capital P presence, that divine presence inside of us. It also, on another level, a much more practical and pragmatic level, it also is very good training. Because the vast majority of us say things that we wish we hadn't said. At the end of the day, or maybe not every day for those of us who have meditative practices, but still more than we would like, we think, my God, why did I say that? Shouldn't have said that. Maybe it was mean. Maybe it was a lie. Maybe it was telling someone's secret. Whatever it may have been. But we think, why did I say that? Shouldn't have said that. But we do it like we are unconscious. We only think afterwards, not before. And the practice of silence actually gets the mind into a practice of thinking before you speak. Because if you spend enough time knowing that you're not going to speak, the tongue stops speaking automatically. It's like it's always checking with the mind. Ki may mon may hun ka nahi. It's always wanting to know, am I in silence now or can I speak? And in that moment of checking, we find that we're able then also not to say what we don't want to say. So it's very beneficial from the most pragmatic levels of your relationships to the deepest level of experiencing that divine presence. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. Beautiful day for our family joining us from online. And so much love to you all. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.